Hi everyone, Rolando here, and today I'm going to talk to you about the book Switch: How to Change Things When Change is Hard by Sheep and Dan Heath. First off, a quick introduction. So, the book Switch is written by Sheep and Dan Heath, and it's designed to teach us how to bring change in ourselves. It explains how the majority of the time a big problem can be solved using a simple solution. They explain that our brain is our enemy when trying to change. That's because we have two brains, actually, not just one. We have the emotional brain, which is the one that's based on instinct, feelings, different pains and pleasures, and then we have the rational brain. This one's the reflective, conscious, deliberative, analytical, and calculative part of our brain. So the authors indicate that there are three principles to undergoing change and are as follow: directing the rider, motivating the elephant, and shaping the past. Now, these will be explaining throughout the whole presentation. So let's start first with the rider. The rider is the analytical part of the brain, and everyone has one. To direct the rider is simpler said than done, however. As we can see, it is a multiple step process that requires finding the bright spots. That means identifying things that have worked for us in the past, as well as not trying to change everything. Focus on that one thing that needs change, not focusing on changing the whole picture because, again, simple solutions solve big problems. And then it's about building the road to success. So creating a path and focusing on behavior that needs changing only. This will lead us to actual change. Here we have our rider on top of his elephant. He is guiding the elephant. The elephant. The elephant is the emotional part of the brain. And as with the rider, we all have one. However, the elephant will more often than not lead the rider astray. In order to motivate this emotional and at times unruly pachyderm, it's necessary to find that emotion that will result in you or others taking actions. Create small, easily accomplishable goals, and forget about information that, while true, is actually useless. And dun, 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 remembering that failure is always an option. It doesn't matter how hard you try to change, there will always be hiccups along the road. So it won't be surprising that if you're trying some to change in one way or the other, you do at some points have success and at others you have a little bit of failure. That's normal, that's a part of the process because from that failure you learn and you become better. So the last of the three principles shaping the past. And it consists of making more external changes versus the internal changes that have to occur when dealing with the rider and the elephant. Implementing new technologies, changing menu and sizes served. These are two examples that can be tried. In fact, for myself, one way I've changed my past is adding new technologies to the way I do things. I've learned to use programs like SPSS. I've learned to use audio visual programs. Then we have building habits. Identify cues that result in change. Certain habits are hard to break, but if you find that there is a small gap in between the start of the habit and the end, something that triggers it, then it's easy to alternate and eliminate that old habit because you just have know what the trigger is. So you just avoid the trigger or eliminate that trigger. And then call back on previous habitats that had positive results. Sorry, habits that had previous positive results. So if you have an old habit of being very organized and that's always worked out for you, then keep that habit. That will continue to guide you on your path to change and success. Then is rally the herd. Recognize success no matter how small. Doesn't matter if it's you were only able to finish one page of a 10-page essay. You were able to finish one page. As small as it sounds, it's actually a big goal because sometimes just writing the introduction can take forever. Don't generalize unless necessary. Don't think that everything's going to go that way. Don't think everything's going to go wrong because that's not really true. And don't think that everyone behaves, acts, or does things the same way as well. It's really not necessary because not everyone does things the same way. And create spaces for people to work on changing and give credit to that work. So if you're a leader and you recognize your employees are doing change, they're changing their habits, no matter how little the change is, give them credit for that. Recognize them and give them the space. It takes time to get about change. And also a quick quote, do not go where the path may lead, go instead where there is no path, and leave a trail. By Ralph Waldo Emerson. This means change is not easy. The way I see this is like change is not easy. A lot of people follow the paths of those who came before them, but that path is not necessarily the same path that you have to follow. So, application. The book presents three principles and actions that will make those principles function. I believe that the main principle to focus on is motivating the elephant. The elephant represents our emotions, and based on how we're feeling or what circumstances are impacting our lives will greatly impact our elephant. Therefore, as an employer, making sure that my employees' elephant is properly motivated is essential since their emotional state will impact service, functionality, and outcomes. As to how I personally would apply the principles, in the book, in order to go about change myself, it's hard to say. I felt that while the book is good for explaining how to bring change in a business, that was not necessarily the case for individual change. However, I think that based on what the book states, I may try to focus a bit more on motivating my elephant. The point is to make accepting the fact that there is always a possibility for failure and that it is always an option, because without failure there can be no success or innovation. Now, for before I leave you, before we part ways to be precise, I wish to leave you with this quote by William Pollard. Without change, there is no innovation, creativity, or incentive for improvement. Those who initiate change will have a better opportunity to manage the change that is inevitable. William Pollard. So take this and ponder upon it. Reflect. Again, thank you for your time, and I hope you all have a great day.